It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Is the government going to prohibit hate speech, quote unquote? Shannon and I are going to discuss Charlie Kirk, polarization, violence, and the law of free speech today. Why do people consider Charlie Kirk's ideas to be so hateful? How did people in the United States become so polarized? Is polarization of ideas correlated with violence? And then we'll talk about the law of free speech. In addition to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've heard about the Minnesota House of Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband who were killed. We learned about Minnesota State Representative John Hoffman and his wife who were shot and wounded. We learned about Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and the Molotov cocktail at his house. We knew about the attempted assassination attempt at the Trump International Golf Club in Florida. Thank goodness no shots were fired. And then we knew that then candidate Trump faced a gunshot wound to the ear while he was campaigning in Pennsylvania. So, should the government define and prohibit hate speech? And if not, what are we going to do to reduce violence motivated by rage against ideas? Welcome to the show, Shannon.
Wow. Thank you.
Now it's time to discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Welcome to the show again. We're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk and polarization and violence and the law of free speech.
Are you planning to pray on this one?
Yes, but I'll say the prayer at the end.
Okay.
I know that we like to do that, and we definitely want to pray for all of you because the society is polarized and it's becoming more dangerous, and I'm afraid that the government is going to tell me what to say and what not to say. But my first question is, was the killer justified in assassinating Charlie Kirk? What would you say?
Of course not.
I knew you would say that. Yeah, of course not.
But you are correct to ask the question because there has been surprisingly a large amount of comments that I've seen, and they appear to be real people because you and I know that sometimes what we see online, it's not even real. It's just outside forces trying to cause division here within the U.S. But it appears to be a big faction of people that are happy and applauding and saying, yeah, like just what you said right now, that he deserved it, basically.
It's so sad because I would say nobody deserves to be murdered.
Well, yeah, we live in a country where that's not supposed to be the case. My first thought was you. This has really hit me really hard. And, I mean, he kind of reminds me of you a little bit. You live your life without fear, so that's great. So I don't want to put any fear on you, but you're also a person that's, you know, somewhat of a personality, and you speak your mind and you use this platform to speak your mind. So if this is going to be the new normal, where if people don't agree with you, they can just end your life, of course it's bad.
We definitely want to put the message out there that that's not okay.
Right.
But it wasn't that long ago that you and I had talked about cancel culture.
Okay, yeah.
Where, you know, I think we were just not in the studio. We were just chatting back and forth about some topic. And
it's hard to remember sometimes. We chat.
We brought it up like, I'm going to get canceled for saying
right,
that, or the other.
Right.
Well, now you have to worry about being killed.
Right. Right. Somebody leaving a bad comment isn't the worst thing that can happen to you.
Right. That would be the least of our worries now.
Although getting canceled is, I would imagine, pretty unpleasant because of the way someone can just hit a button and it's all over. You can have hate from anywhere, you know?
We could. So we're talking about Charlie Kirk, God rest his soul, founder and president of Turning Point USA, host of the Charlie Kirk Show podcast, and nationally syndicated radio host. So my next question is, why do some people consider Charlie Kirk's messages so hateful? Can you think of some things that you've heard other people post about or say that they can point to something and say, you know, that was really hateful what he said?
Well, what about you? What do you think? You answer first. And that's a very good question. I love your questions.
Well,
and thank you for doing this.
I know of Charlie Kirk, but I didn't follow him religiously. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm too old. I don't feel that old, but he was more of a leader for high school and college age people.
Right. I'm learning that too. It appears like the people that really appeared to love him so much were younger people. He was some people were saying he was the voice for that, like the young conservatives.
Mm-hmm. So I did find some of the messages, a list of things that people said he said.
Yeah, right? That's a very good way to say that.
So one of the things that people didn't like was how he talked about gender ideology.
Okay.
And
he had a firm position on that.
Right. So he opposed the idea that you could be born with one gender and somehow use medicine to become a different gender.
Okay. And he was probably vocal about that.
So why does that make people upset? Not just upset, but enraged.
Right. That maybe would tie into what we're going to talk about hate speech. Could that be qualified as hate speech? Does that make sense?
Well, I don't know how you define hate speech.
I don't think we have a definition right now, but it could be defined as, because we have a very, our laws are trying to be much more sensitive to the LGBTQ community currently, correct? The trans community, LGBTQ. So in reference to what we talked about with cancel culture, you could probably agree with me that it's no longer, can we say, acceptable or normal to be saying something against this community. So that community is protected. They are allowed to live their life as they believe. And so somebody like Charlie Kirk would be viewed as hateful to those advances that have been made in the civil rights of gay people and trans people.
Well, I think that development occurred largely 4 years ago under President Biden's administration. Some of the executive orders that he signed to give additional rights for
or we could say
that population.
We could say recognize, because you and I were Christians, so we believe that God gives rights. They come straight from God. A president can't give them or take them away. So to recognize that gay and trans people have just as much right as you and I do to live at peace, to live free from any racism, any, kind of discrimination. And that's what people decided our Constitution would say.
Well, I think that where Charlie Kirk was coming from was that they weren't just recognized as having natural rights given from God, but they were elevated into being given additional rights under the...
I'm following you. To where he wouldn't even have the right to say his religious belief. Mm-hmm. And because if he did, that would be viewed as hateful. That would be defined as hate speech. He would be canceled. He could be sued.
Right.
So I think I hear where you're going. And this is just one, you're just on one. I'm sure you've got some more,
And so if we're going to define hate speech, what if I were going to talk bad about lawyers? What if I were going to tell a lawyer joke?
Yeah, why is that not as provocative?
Well, I think if I were president or if I were governor of a state, maybe that would be offensive enough to me to say that if you tell lawyer jokes in the hallway, you're not going to work for the government.
Right.
Or you're not going to be able to apply for certain benefits.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Could you be sued?
Well, my point is, I don't want the government defining hate speech.
Okay.
Because there's nothing in the Constitution or in the Supreme Court rulings that define nice speech or hate speech. They only talk about protected speech or regulated speech.
Okay.
But we'll have to wait until a little bit later to talk more about the law.
I think you
of
have a
free
good
speech.
argument that you could make for that.
I do want to start talking about polarization.
Okay.
I did find a definition for that.
Okay.
Under the Oxford Dictionary says, division into two sharply contrasting groups or sets of opinions or beliefs. So do you think there's polarization on these issues in the United States?
Well,
and where did that come from? I have some ideas.
Yeah.
I found a really good scholarly article by Carnegie Endowment. Back in 2023, they released a paper about polarization.
Yeah.
And some of the things that they found was that the candidates for political office have become more polarized or more extreme within their own parties. And when
sounds right,
they're the only one running, you don't get to choose a less polarized
Those
candidate.
are your only options. Yeah.
Right. And if it's a safe district and there's no opposition, well, then that's the guy or the gal that has that seat.
It does get people's attention. So if you have a message that's more middle of the road or more moderate, it takes a little bit longer to explain. It's a little nuanced. If you have a very fiery rhetoric type of message, it's pretty easy to deliver. You know, you're not the problem. It's that other guy that's the problem.
Right.
So just vote for me and I'll get rid of that other guy.
Right.
And you're fine. Like you don't have to change anything about you at all.
That's a great point. It's always easy to blame them.
It's just a very simple, easily digestible message. The truth is probably a little harder to explain. Well, see, here's the budget with the pie graph, and, here's what we have. We have to make some cuts here, Very unpopular message.
And you don't typically like to hear the us versus them arguments.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you do either. I think the whole basis of I wouldn't be sitting here if you were not using your platform to decrease division.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to be friends.
Somebody else that was on the show recently, Melody Smith.
Yeah.
I still remember when she said that the person who needed shoes at the church, he had the wristband or something that indicated he was a Christian.
Yeah.
And she just realized that this is a brother in Christ.
Yeah.
And so I'm reminded of that whether I agree with them or not, they're still God's children.
Right. Yeah. I completely, obviously, 1,000% agree with you.
And then from their perspective, whoever they are,
yeah,
I'm the them.
Exactly. Yeah.
To them.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so I would like to find common ground if we can. And this article from the Carnegie Endowment had some research that showed that it's easier to villainize another group when you don't know who they are.
Okay.
Like, not individual people, it's just the group that we don't like.
Right.
But when you're sitting down with a friend
Yeah.
who has some different views,
Yeah.
it's harder for you to say, I hate her
Right.
because
Right.
of her views.
Right.
Because you know each other.
Right.
And there's probably other qualities that you do like.
Right. Right. You could cut me a little slack.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, that's just Shannon. She's been nutty ever since law school. You just got to forgive her.
well, and here's another situation. If it's your neighbor that you don't like because of their political views, well, you still share a fence. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to come to an agreement on when to replace that fence or when to stain it. I've had these discussions with neighbors before.
Right, right, yeah. I can see.
And you want to have some working relationship, and so you don't want to just hate on that person.
Yeah, it just makes everything easier, smoother. Yeah, you want to get along. I was hearing that social media might have something to do with our increasing, camps that we find ourselves divided into. Because you get into your little echo chamber. You know, if I'm watching a video, I bet my algorithm knows me, It sends me shoes if I look at shoes,
Right.
So it learns me, and then I end up just in my little world where to me that's the whole world. That's one, I've told you this a million times, but that's something I really value about our friendship. And you have talked me down before when I have called you and said, hey, I'm hearing this thing, and this is something I'm hearing in my world. Is this true? What's going on here? What's your take on this? And that has been really invaluable for me. I wish everybody had a friendship where they could talk to someone across the aisle.
Yeah. So I do want to come back to that point, but there has been some research that shows that the influencers online, they get more attention.
Oh, sure.
When they're more dramatic.
Yes.
In their posts.
Right. And it feels like it just has to ratchet up and up and up and up and up.
Because you're competing against other influencers and you want to get noticed. And so
definitely
I see lots of shocking headlines that all they want you to do is click.
Right.
Because that's part of their stats.
Right. So that's a very motivating, they get us. They have hacked into our brains and our psyches the way that humans work. And it's a big motivator. It's kind of like fear. Would you call it fear? And fear can also go make you vote a certain way. Mm-hmm. They can get you to take action by.
And I think the Supreme Court case about TikTok. They brought in lots of evidence about how the program was working.
Right, how advanced it is.
And that's what they found to be a national security threat.
Right. Was
because the Chinese Communist Party knew Americans so well.
Right, exactly.
From watching what kind of TikTok videos we were watching.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just wanted to mention that not all of my friends on TikTok think the same way I do. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, I've probably been defriended or unfriended, whatever the term was, but I never do that to somebody that states an opinion that's directly contrary to what I believe. I want to hear what they have to say, even if I don't agree with it.
I know you in real life, so I can vouch for you that is 1,000% correct. I know that that's you, that's who you are, it's what you do. Why is that kind of an anomaly? I don't have a ton of friends like that. Why are so many people?
Well, you're asking me questions that take me back to my childhood, Shannon.
Okay, sorry about that. Lay down on my couch.
I grew up in chaos, and so it's very difficult to make me upset.
Wow.
Because I've been conditioned.
It would take a lot.
Be in situations where everything was upsetting.
Right.
So that's
silver lining.
That's my secret superpower.
Yeah, excellent.
It's very difficult to make me upset.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the correlation. Is there a correlation between polarization and violence? I mean, not everybody that feels passionate about their issue.
True.
is going to do something
you can have
wrong, like
a strong opinion,
commit violence against somebody else.
Yeah, that is a pretty big question. Well, you go first.
Well, again, I'll have to post this article, the Carnegie Endowment article from 2023, because it analyzes that a little bit. And part of their conclusion is that some of the people that commit acts of violence against people that believe the opposite of what they believe, they have certain characteristics to begin with.
Okay.
And one of them is age.
Oh, really?
Most of them are younger.
Oh, wow.
And I tell my clients this all the time, that there's a reason the auto insurance industry gives you a discount when you turn 25.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did studies and they found that that's when the frontal lobe is finally fully developed.
Right.
And the frontal lobe is where you assess risk.
Okay.
So
if
you're younger, you don't think about what's going to happen if I do this violent act.
Right.
They're just impulsive.
Right.
So younger people, and the other characteristic would be people that are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, somewhat under the influence, I guess.
Right. I know what word you're searching for, like compromised.
Yeah.
They're not operating at 100%.
Right. So again, in those situations, they just take risks that they might not normally take.
Right.
And so the article goes on to say that even if there weren't polarization, these people would still commit violent acts for other reasens. Okay.
But why does it seem to be ratcheting up so much? Because I don't remember school shootings or, we're, I think, quantifiably more violent today.
Well, we're not.
As a society, I mean.
Some people are. When I was in junior high, there were drive-bys at the junior high. I mean, we couldn't drive, but there were, I guess,
it's not funny. I'm laughing
young
to
people, driving by shooting at junior high kids.
Right.
So I would tend to agree, just anecdotally, with this type of assessment. I don't think that it's one-to-one.
Uh-huh.
Polarization of political views does not automatically lead to violence.
Okay.
Some people are violent and some people are not.
Okay.
The reasons for being violent could be varied.
Okay.
So I
think
would tend
I
to
could
agree
with
with you just by watching the news that there is more us versus them discussions taking place by politicians,
right,
by news commentators.
Okay.
They use those same words. I mean, when I went to the Tesla diner in Hollywood, there were protesters, and one of the signs said that hamburger tastes like fascism.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's a very polarizing term, right?
Fascism?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, when they call Elon Musk a fascist,
yeah.
I mean, how could he be a fascist?
How was the hamburger?
the
was
hamburger
delicious?
It was good. It was comparable to like Freddy's. It was a steak burger. So you're taking me off of my point about.
I'm reading a book about fascism right now.
Tell me about it.
Well, I think part of fascism would be we would not have the right to speak our minds.
Well, I don't know anybody that was doing that before Charlie Kirk got murdered, unless you go back to when the Biden administration was telling Facebook and Twitter what kind of posts they should suppress and what kind of posts they should elevate. There were court cases about this.
I heard about it, right. So can we agree that Trump and Kirk and Charlie Kirk are both big proponents of First Amendment rights It's a big deal. If I think about Trump, I think I remember what you're talking about, and that he's always said that free speech is very important. First Amendment rights.
Yeah, I remember seeing them say that. We have to stop talking about this. We have to close out this segment of the show. If you want to hear more, you'll have to tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
And we're going to duke it out.
Shannon Salmon-Haas, San Antonio.